Last summer, I was 34 and a trail guide. I spent my days leading hiking groups through the towering pine trees of the Pacific Northwest. I thought I would enjoy my time at the secluded cabin. It was cozy with rough wooden beams and a winding stream nearby. I expected peace and quiet. But on my first night, something changed. I heard whispers. I thought it was just the wind playing tricks. I was tired from the long drive and didn't feel like investigating. As the weeks went by, the whispers grew louder. They started to sound like children playing in the woods. At first, I wasn't sure what to make of it. Was I imagining things? My hiking groups began to talk about ghostly figures moving between the trees. I thought they were just telling scary stories. One day, I found broken toys and old photographs scattered around the cabin. It made me question the place's past. What had happened here? When I spoke to my guests, I realized they felt something too. I felt a strong urge to dive deeper into this mystery. My heart raced as laughter echoed through the trees at night. I stepped outside one evening, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. I saw shadows darting among the trunks. Maybe it was just a trick of the light. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me. One night, I woke up to soft giggles coming through an open window. I sat up with my heart pounding. I wanted to call out, but my voice felt stuck. I stepped out onto the porch. The cool night air wrapped around me, and the laughter stopped. A chill raced down my spine. Maybe it's nothing, I told myself. I tried to convince myself that I was imagining things. But each day my unease grew. I stared at the broken toys I found and the old photographs. Was this all real? Or was my mind playing tricks? Each sunset brought that nagging doubt back. Finally, one night, I stood at the forest's edge. I wanted to face my fears. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a small figure darting between the trees. My heart raced and my stomach dropped. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I froze, unsure of what to do. Then I heard a faint voice say, "Come play with us." My feet felt glued to the ground. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move. I turned to look behind me, but there was nobody there. Now, I always think back to that summer. Those whispers and shadows still puzzle me. I wonder if they were real or just tricks of my imagination. Something about that cabin haunts me. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. The whispers from the night before still echoed in my mind. I had to know more. I decided to explore the woods, hoping to find answers. With each step I took, I felt a mix of excitement and dread. I followed the trails that led deeper into the forest, my heart pounding with each crunch of leaves beneath my boots. I came across a clearing where the sunlight pierced through the branches, casting an ethereal glow. It was beautiful, almost like a sanctuary. But then I noticed something unusual, a series of small, shallow holes in the ground. I bent down to examine them more closely. They looked like someone had dug them recently. The soil was loose and had a damp, fresh appearance. "What were you looking for?" I muttered to myself. My imagination ran wild. Were the whispers calling me to this very spot all along? As I scanned the area, I spotted another broken toy, a small soldier with a faded paint job. I picked it up, feeling its cool plastic in my palm. In that moment, my stomach nodded. It was the same kind of toy I had seen in the photographs back at the cabin. Something clicked in my mind. I needed to go back and compare. When I returned, a chill ran through me as I approached the cabin. It was still too still. I remembered what the guests said about the ghostly figures and felt a rush of disbelief mixed with fear. I entered cautiously, holding the toy like it was a talisman. Inside, I rifled through the old photographs again. As I flipped through them, I noticed more details. The same trees, the same clearing. Then, I saw a faded image of a group of children playing. One child stood out. A girl in a light blue dress held the same toy soldier. "That's her," I whispered, a shiver coursing through me. I felt a connection, like I was being drawn deeper into their story. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed outside. I jumped, my heart racing. I rushed to the window and looked out. A branch had fallen, but amidst the chaos, I spotted movement. The same small figure darted between the trees again. This time it was clearer, just a flash of blue. It felt wrong to ignore it. I had to confront whatever was out there. I took a deep breath and stepped outside. The air felt thicker, almost charged with energy. I followed the figure as it slipped between the trees, adrenaline coursing through me. "Hello?" I called out, my voice shaky. "Who's there?" Silence engulfed me. Then, I heard it again, a faint whisper, layered with giggles that sent chills down my spine. "Come play with us." Adrenaline surged. I pressed on, following the echoes. That S when I stumbled upon something shocking. A small, half-buried chest in the ground, visible only because of the fallen leaves that I knelt down. I felt nauseated but compelled to see what was inside. That S when I heard footsteps behind me. I turned to look, but no one was there. My breath caught in my throat. I had to know what was in that chest. But was I alone in the woods? I hesitated, my fingers hovering above the chest. With every second that passed, the air grew colder, and I felt exposed, like I was being watched. The whispers seemed to stir again, urging me to open it. I took a deep breath and brushed the leaves aside. The chest was small, rough-hewn wood, bound with rusted metal, and it emitted a musty smell when I pried it open. As the lid creaked, I expected to find treasure. Instead, I was met with something unexpected. A collection of old, weathered letters. Some were stained with what looked like old dirt, while others were frayed and torn. That I pulled one out and unfolded it carefully. The handwriting was shaky but familiar. It was addressed to a child named Anna. Thoughts raced through my mind. Who was Anna? Why were these letters here? Why were you hiding? I murmured. Before I could read further, a rustling noise broke through the silence. My heart dropped. I shot my head around, hoping to see something, anything familiar, but only the shadows danced in the fading light. "Hello?" I called again, my voice wavering. There was no answer, just the flutter of leaves in the breeze. But I could feel it, an energy pulsing around me, thick with anticipation. I returned my focus to the letters, wanting to bury my fears under layers of curiosity. The next letter was dated decades ago. It spoke of adventures in the woods, of laughter and playdates amongst the trees. The last line sent chills down my spine. "We must keep the secret. They don't want us to play." I glanced back at the trees surrounding me. My instincts screamed that I was not alone. Was it the spirit of Anna, or someone else? I tucked the letters back inside the chest, an urge rising to flee. Just as I began to stand, a sudden crash echoed through the woods, making me jump. Panic washed over me, my heart racing again. I turned towards the sound, eyes wide, desperately scanning the treeline. Nothing moved. The air seemed heavier, suffocating. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a figure. This time it was much closer, an indistinct silhouette dressed in blue. Couldn't breathe. I wanted to run, yet something rooted me to the spot. The whisper came again, clearer this time, "Help us." The voice was soft, almost melodic, but each word dripped with desperation. I felt drawn in, caught between fight or flight. I stood frozen, and nearly regretfully I called back, "What do you need? Who are you?" Then the world shifted. The shadows morphed into shapes, and I finally saw this other figure, the girl from the photographs. She beckoned with a finger before disappearing into the underbrush, leaving me clutching the chest with the letters against my chest. That I had to decide. Did I follow her into the unknown or retreat to the safety of the cabin? My mind spun with uncertainty, but buried memories of laughter and play flashed before me. "Wait," I shouted, taking a step forward, heart racing. Would I dare to uncover the truth, even if it led me deeper into danger? I stepped forward, hesitation melting into a desperate curiosity. The girl's figure flickered in my mind as I moved deeper into the woods, chasing something I couldn't fully comprehend. Each crunch of leaves underfoot echoed in my ears, mingling with the soft rustle of the trees as if they too were whispering secrets. "Anna," I whispered, the name escaping my lips like a spell. I had no idea if she could hear me or if she was even there at all. A chill raced down my spine. I picked up the pace, my heart still hammering against my chest. The path twisted, and soon, the underbrush closed in, wrapping around me like a shroud. Each step felt like a choice, taking me further away from safety and deeper into the unknown. Then, just as I thought I might lose the girl, I spotted her again, standing at the base of an ancient tree. It was old and gnarled, its branches sprawling like arms reaching out for something long gone. She looked back, eyes wide, pleading. "Come on," she urged, her voice clearer now. "We need to hurry." "Why?" I asked, breathless from confusion and fear. "What's happening?" She glanced over her shoulder, her expression shifting to one of deep concern. "They're coming." "Who?" My stomach twisted in knots. Before she could respond, a loud crack split through the air. Twigs snapped violently behind me, and I whirled around, my pulse racing. A shadow lurked behind the trees. Indistinct yet heavy, a dark silhouette that felt more like a threat than a person. "Run!" the girl shouted, breaking my paralysis. I sprinted after her, branches tearing at my clothes. Adrenaline surged, and I felt alive in a way I hadn't seen in years, but terror wrapped its icy fingers around my neck. We dodged deeper into the thicket, and as we pushed through, I could hear the whispers again, now a cacophony of voices swirling around me, rising to a fever pitch. "Help us! Help us!" they cried, echoing from every direction. I stumbled, trying to keep up with Anna, but I had to know. "Who needs help? Who are you? Just trust me," she yelled back, darting through an opening between two massive boulders. As I followed her, we emerged into a small clearing bathed in eerie twilight. A circle of stones marked a boundary, like a forgotten altar. Strange symbols were carved into them, and I felt a pull towards them, a lure that was hard to resist. "Here." Anna stood at the center, beckoning me closer. "You can stop them. You just need to understand." I took a hesitant step forward, but my instincts were screaming. Understand what? What's going on? That S when I saw it, a shimmer flickering around the stones, a portal of sorts, and just beyond it, the darkness shifted. The shadow I had seen earlier materialized, creeping ever closer, insidious and looming. Panic clawed at my throat that I turned back to Anna, fear racing through my veins. "Are we safe here?" Her eyes sparkled with urgency, the shadows behind her starting to grow. "You have to make a choice. We can't stop them alone." Before I could respond, the dark figure emerged from the tree-line, revealing itself more clearly. It was no longer an indistinct shape, but a figure I recognized all too well. "Anna!" I cried out, horrified as understanding dawned on me. I realized that unraveling this mystery could mean unearthing truths better left buried. And then everything went dark. I gasped, the darkness swallowing me whole. My senses were overwhelmed, a sheer void where sound and light once existed. For a brief moment, I lost all awareness of where I was, who I was. But then, slowly, faint shapes began to form. A cool breeze brushed against my skin, carrying scents of damp earth and moss. My heart raced as I blinked into the murkiness, the clearing reappearing before me, but it felt different, weighted, as if time itself had shifted. "Anna?" I called out, my voice trembling. Fear clawed at my throat as I searched for her among the shadows. "Over here," a voice echoed, faint but unmistakable. I spun around, spotting Anna standing at the edge of the clearing, her silhouette flickering like a candle. "What happened?" I asked breathlessly. "They tried to pull you in," she responded, urgency pushing her words. "I didn't know how to reach you, but we need to move now." Without thinking, I rushed towards her, but something caught my eye, a movement at the edge of the darkness. I turned and saw it again, a faint shimmer like a ripple in water. My mind raced, drawing a connection between the stones and the portal. "What is that?" I pointed, the unease coiling tighter in my stomach. "Part of the trap," she said, stepping closer to me. "They want you to step through. If you do, you might never come back." I swallowed hard. "Why me? What do they want?" "Not just you. They want everyone. A sacrifice to keep them from breaking free." Her voice dropped to a whisper, barely audible over the rustling leaves. That a distant rumble broke the tension. I felt it in my bones, an ominous vibration resonating throughout the clearing. I looked back at the shadow now advancing towards us, its form more defined, and I realized it wasn't just a darkness. It was a creature not human, but distorted and vast, with eyes like pits of emptiness. "Anna, we have to go," I shouted, grabbing her wrist. Panic ignited within me. I had no idea how fast it was moving or what it could do. "I can't leave without doing this." She pulled away, her determination sending chills through me. "Please, you have to trust me." "Trust you with what?" I demanded, trying to understand the depth of this urgency. "What I did before." Her voice faltered, but she steadied herself. "I know how to contain them, but I need you. I'll explain later, but we have to do it together." The creature drew closer, its form shifting and twisting with an unsettling fluidity, blending with the thickening shadows. I could feel its hunger, a pull towards the darkness that made my skin crawl. Just tell me," I stammered, keeping my eyes on the ever-looming thing. "What do we do?" Anna took a deep breath, as if steeling herself. "We stand at the center and channel the energy. You have to focus, clear your mind. Whatever you see, it can't harm you when we're connected." Then it happened. The ground shook again, sending vibrations through my feet. A piercing shriek pierced the air, and I turned to see the creature lunging towards us, its mouth stretching unnaturally wide. "Anna!" I shouted, fear gripping me. It was now or never. "Together!" she yelled, and I took a step toward her, the symbols around us glowing ominously. But as I did, I felt something cold and clammy wrap around my ankle. I stumbled, looking down. The darkness was reaching for me, pulling me back as the grotesque figure loomed closer. That S when I knew this was just the beginning. I struggled against the grip that held me, my heart pounding like a war drum. The earth beneath my feet felt alive, pulling at me, as if it wanted to swallow me whole. My pulse quickened, and I fought the panic threatening to break free. "Anna!" I screamed again, desperation lacing my voice. I could barely see her through the fog, but I heard her voice cutting through the chaos. "Stay with me. Focus," she urged, her eyes wide with determination. I glanced at the creature, its hideous mouth agape, each elongated tooth gleaming with an unnatural sheen. It lunged forward, and I pulled harder against the grasp of darkness. I could feel its cold tendrils slithering higher, wrapping tighter around my leg. The shadows pulsed like a living beast, hungry, insatiable. "Hold on," Anna shouted, stepping into the center of the clearing. The symbols around us flickered brighter. "We need to face it." I forced myself to breathe, trying to block out the terror clawing at my mind. "How do I do this?" I gasped, glancing at her. "Trust me." Her voice had a bite to it, a call to action. "We can do this if we're strong enough." With trembling hands, I stepped forward, joining her. The darkness still clawed at me, but I had to believe in her. I reached out, taking her hand, the warmth of her skin grounding me as I felt the shadows slowly lessen their grip. I closed my eyes, blocking out everything but the rhythm of my breath. A sudden surge of energy coursed through me, like a river breaking free from a dam. I could feel Anna's presence beside me, solid and reassuring. "Now," she shouted, her voice ringing with urgency. "Channel it." A rush of energy flooded through me. I opened my eyes, and the clearing transformed. The symbols blazed with light, casting away the shadows. I could see the creature now, its grotesque visage caught in the brilliance, twisted with rage. "What now?" I managed to ask, my voice a whisper in the cacophony. "Focus on the portal. Send the energy toward it." Anna's command sliced through my fear. I willed the light toward the shimmering gap at the edge of the clearing. The creature screeched, and I saw a bright flash from the darkness, a flash that rippled through the air like a shockwave. With each heartbeat, our connection grew stronger. I felt the shadows begin to recede, but just as I thought we were winning, a deep rumble echoed from the ground. Then everything shifted. The air thickened and darkened again, but this time it was different. It was as if the darkness had drawn closer, pooling beneath us. A voice, low and twisted, emerged from the shadows. "Foolish children, you think you can contain us?" The sound wrapped around me, chilling every part of my being. I looked at Anna. Her expression had turned to one of sheer determination, but I felt doubt creeping in. "What do we do now?" I asked, my voice shaky. "Don't let it in," she shouted, her grip tightening around my hand. "Focus harder." That S when I saw it, a glimmer of light struggling against the encroaching darkness, fighting to break free. But the creature wasn't done yet. I could feel its anger surging against us. The pulsing grew more intense, leaving me breathless. Suddenly, one of the shadows flickered, reaching out with seemingly human fingers, grasping for what we decreated. It wanted in. "Anna!" I cried, panic rising again as I felt another chill crawl up my spine. With her steady gaze rooted in mine, Anna whispered, "We can't stop now." And in that moment, as shadows surrounded us, I realized this battle had just escalated. The shadows thickened, pooling and swirling around us like a living thing. Desperation flooded my veins. The voice from the darkness echoed again, stirring a wave of sickening dread in my gut. "Focus," Anna shouted, her voice a lifeline in the encroaching dark. It felt like I was standing at the edge of a precipice, teetering on the brink. I tightened my grip on her hand, determined not to give in this time. The flickering light we had summoned was dimming, flickering like a dying candle. "We need to push back harder," I yelled, straining against the weight of shadows. Anna nodded, her expression fierce. "On three, we channel it all. 1, 2, 3. Together, we poured everything we had into the air, a torrent of energy surging from us like electricity. The symbols around us flared, casting a blinding light that momentarily staved off the darkness. But the creature howled, a sound that chilled my very bones, and the shadows retaliated. I felt myself being tugged back, the cold tendrils grasping at my feet again. My heart raced as I stumbled, almost losing my footing. "Anna," I gasped. "You're stronger than this," she urged, standing firm even as the darkness clawed at her. "Don't let it take you." I took a deep breath and pushed against its pull. I focused on the warmth of her hand, the strength in her voice. "We have to believe." The light surged once more, fiercer this time, and I could see the fear flicker in the creature's ghastly eyes. As we pressed forward, the darkness rippled. I could feel something shifting below us, a rumble that felt unnatural. Then everything went dark. The bright symbols extinguished in an instant, plunging us into a void. "Anna," I called out, panic ripping through me. "Stay calm," she shouted, but I could barely hear her over the cacophony of whispers rising from the abyss. The sensation of weightlessness tugged at me, pulling me into the depths. Just as despair threatened to overtake me, a brilliant flare of light ignited. I looked toward it, see a figure emerging from the shadows. It was humanoid, but I couldn't make out any distinct features through the darkness. "Help me," I cried, reaching out, but the figure only laughed, a low, mocking tone that echoed around us. "You think you can stop what is inevitable?" I could feel the shadows writhing around me, trying to wrap tighter around my body, but I refused to let them. "Couldn't. Not now." "Look," Anna yelled, drawing my attention back to her. "The portal, it's reappearing." In front of us, a glimmer of iridescent light formed again, growing stronger. I felt a surge of hope. "It's working," I shouted, but the creature roared, and I felt a sudden, icy rush as the shadows surged forward, driven by its wrath. "Focus," Anna cried again, her voice somehow cutting through the chaos. "Channel everything into the portal." With everything I had, I directed our combined energy toward the light, feeling it beat like a heart, thrumming to life beneath our feet. The shadows shrieked as they faded back, but I could tell, deep down, that it wasn't over yet. I was gasping for air, the weight of the darkness lingering, still trying to close in. That S when I spotted it, a gnarled hand reaching out from the void toward the portal, its grip firm and relentless. Suddenly, a feeling of dread washed over me. "What is that?" I whispered, realizing our fight was far from finished. "Stay strong," Anna screamed, but I couldn't shake the sense of encroaching doom. As the hand drew closer, I knew deep down that whatever was trying to break free held the key to everything. and I felt the darkness stirring, ready to unleash its fury upon us. The shadows pulsed, thick and alive, as I struggled to keep my eyes on the flickering portal before us. The gnarled hand reached forward, its fingers stretching like a creature crawling from the depths of hell. With each inch it advanced, I felt my stomach drop, and panic began bubbling in my chest. "Anna!" I shouted, somehow believing her presence would anchor me, but she was lost in the chaos around us. The world felt like it was collapsing, spiraling down into a dark abyss. "Focus on the light," she shouted through gritted teeth, fighting against the shadows that threatened to pull us apart. It gave me a flicker of strength. "Remember what we felt before, right?" I had to remember. I closed my eyes for a moment, drawing on the warmth we had shared before. The warmth of belief. We had summoned something powerful. I could do this. But then the hand surged forward again, and I stumbled back, nearly losing my balance. This wasn't just a hand. It was part of something much larger, something that was hoping to drag us down with it. "Keep it together," Anna yelled again, forcing me back into the moment. Our combined energy began to flicker once more, barely illuminating the foreboding darkness. The portal was still there, but it kept wavering, almost like it was alive and frightened. "Don't let it win," I shouted, feeling the tendrils of darkness lash against my legs. Panic shot through me again. "What if we can't do this?" Anna's eyes narrowed. "Don't you dare think like that. We've come too far to quit now." She was right. Somehow, despite the fear that had settled like a weight on my chest, I felt a spark of determination ignite within me. We had faced this creature before, at least in some form. It was time to confront it head-on, even if I felt tiny against its sheer force. "We can push it back," I yelled, reaching deep inside for every ounce of courage. "On three, we unleash everything we've got." "Okay," Anna replied, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Ready? 1, 2, 3. Our combined energy surged again, this time mingled with the resolve we had developed on this journey. The light swelled, pushing back against the darkness. Shadows shrieked and writhed, the sounds echoing like a chorus of lost souls. But just then, the laughter from the figure in the void sliced through the air like a knife. "Fools! You're merely delaying the inevitable." I wanted to scream back, but the darkness pressed in, suffocating me. The portals flickered, threatening to disappear again. But this time, I was ready. "Just a little more," I cried, forcing every bit of my remaining strength into the light. There was a sudden rush, and the hand recoiled as if burned. I felt the shadows lose their grip momentarily. The portal began glowing fiercely, pulsating with hope. But the laughter grew louder, deeper, more menacing. "You cannot escape," it mocked. Suddenly, I noticed something new. A faint outline beside the hand, a second hand, reaching out from the void. Confusion washed over me. "What is happening?" Anna's face blanched as she saw it too. "There's another one. It's not just one thing." Panic surged in me, roiling the courage I had built. I couldn't grasp what we were up against, but I knew one thing for sure. We had to fight. A surge of determination rushed back. I turned to Anna, my heart racing. "Whatever it is, we take it on together. We have to shut them both down." Then, as if in reply, a shadow coiled tighter around me, more fierce than before. The howls of the creature echoed in my ears, drowning out everything else. And that's when I realized it wasn't just a fight for survival. Something much bigger was at play, something that went beyond us beyond this moment. "Let us do this," I shouted, channeling all my fear and strength one last time. And then, as if responding to my command, the portal exploded with light. The light enveloped us, blinding and brilliant. For a moment time seemed to freeze. Shadows hissed, retreating, their fingers burning in the brilliance we had unleashed. I could feel Anna's energy alongside mine, a powerful force pulsing in harmony, like two suns colliding. But before I could fully grasp the moment, the laughter roared once more, shaking the ground beneath us. "You think this is victory?" It echoed, each syllable dripping with contempt. There are far worse things waiting for you. The light dimmed as the shadows regrouped, thickening like smoke trying to reclaim its territory. I felt the grip of despair tightening around my heart. What does it mean? I murmured, fear creeping back in. It means we need to get to that portal. Anna shouted, her voice cutting through the darkness. She pointed toward the rift still swirling with light. Now, we surged forward, pushing against the shadows. But as we made our way, I noticed that the second hand from the void was now fully formed. It was a twisted arm, pale and sinewy, seemingly disconnected from any body. This can't be happening, I muttered, panic rushing in as it reached out toward us, its fingers twitching like a serpent poised to strike. Just keep moving, Anna urged, her determination flickering like our light. As we ran, I glanced back, and my stomach dropped. The hand had begun to pull back, but darkness rippled behind it, forming into a shadowy figure. That's not good, I gasped. What is it? Before Anna could answer, the figure lunged, a mass of swirling gloom and despair. I felt a wave of cold wash over me, snatching the breath from my lungs. It wants to draw us in. I squeezed my eyes shut and thought of the warmth we shared, the countless moments of laughter, the hope that had driven us this far. We can't let it, I shouted, clenching my fists. Anna looked at me, her eyes fierce and unwavering. Together, we reached the portal, and in that instant, I saw countless faces swirling in the light, lost souls trapped between worlds. They were reaching toward us, begging for release. They need our help, I gasped. Anna hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. But I knew we couldn't turn away. We have to try, I urged. If we're strong enough, we can take them with us. As we stepped closer to the portal, the shadows lunged again, whipping through the air. I felt a sickening lurch as one clawed tendril slashed across my arm. It burned like fire, searing my skin. Go, Anna, I cried, heart racing. I'll hold them back. No, she yelled, her eyes wide. We're in this together. But before I could argue, her hands tugged at me, pulling me toward the light. With every ounce of strength, I fought against the encroaching darkness, blazing my own path toward the hope waiting just beyond the threshold. As I took a step forward, breath caught in my throat, I looked back for one last glance at the figure forming from the shadows. Its eyes locked onto mine, filled with an unfathomable depth of anger and hunger. Just as I felt the pull of the light begin to draw me in, I heard it whisper, "You cannot escape what you have unleashed." And then, everything went dark. I woke to bright sunlight filtering through the trees, the soft sound of a distant stream lulling me into a sense of safety. My heart was still racing, but all of that Anna, the dark figures, the whispers felt like a dream, a confusing nightmare from which I had somehow escaped. I sat up and scanned the clearing, my breath hitching when I saw the stones, the glimmer of light that had been the portal, but now just empty space. It was as if all the chaos had been wiped clean. No shadows lurked behind the trees, no eerily beckoning girl awaited me. I was alone. After a few moments of collecting my thoughts, I forced myself to stand and started making my way back to the cabin. With each step, I fought to put together the fragmented memories. Had we truly halted whatever menace that had lurked in those woods? I felt hollow, unsure of what exactly had happened. Had Anna really been there, or was she a figment of my imagination, a symbol of the innocence lost to the darkness? The cabin stood quiet as I entered, its familiar rustic charm now tinged with an unsettling edge. I searched the corners for any sign of the toys I had found or the letters. Had they been given life only because I was drawn into their tragic story? I rifled through the dusty corners, but they were all gone, erased from existence, or was it my memory that was playing tricks on me? I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside, the air filled with bird songs, the sky a pure blue. Yet, remnants of an icy weight pressed on my chest. I could still hear the faint echoes of laughter, memories mingling with the chirping of the forest. It irritated me how I longed for those voices. I took a deep breath, trying to clear the anxiety that lingered in my gut. The sunlight seemed to tease me with its warmth, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted irreversibly. Days turned into weeks as I resumed my life, but the images of that summer haunted my thoughts. I wouldn't discuss what had happened with anyone. Telling them would mean trying to articulate the irrational. Did I really confront a supernatural force? Or had my stress and fear conjured this chaos? Questions swirled in my mind, unanswered, perplexing in their implications. I eventually left the cabin behind, moving to a different city. Despite my attempts to settle into my new routine, the darkness from that summer whispered through my thoughts like a persistent echo. Sometimes, in quiet moments, I'd catch myself gazing out at the misty trees, wondering if there were still shadows out there, waiting and watching. Once, while sorting through old boxes at a local flea market, I stumbled upon a toy soldier just like the one I had touched in the woods. My heart sank, memories flooding back. I bought it almost as a talisman against the unknown. That evening, I placed it on my shelf, a reminder that I had faced something terrifying, yet a spark of doubt lingered. Had I done enough, or had I merely postponed the inevitable? As I lay in bed that night, I thought of Anna, the girl in a light blue dress, her hauntingly friendly smile. Perhaps she was gone, or perhaps she remained, tangled in whatever dark history still lingered in those woods. The truth slipped through my fingers like smoke, leaving me with an uneasy peace. I never returned to that cabin, afraid of unearthing whatever mysteries still lurked there, of reopening a door that perhaps should remain shut. I moved on, but I knew I would always carry those shadows with me, the fragile line between reality and fantasy permanently blurred. Whatever had happened hadn't been resolved. It merely changed shape, still waiting in the silence, still beckoning with whispers through the trees.